Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unfiltered Artist Podcast. I have Hannah on for the third episode here. Whoop, whoop. Yes. We have been at this all day, guys. We know jokes started at 10 o'clock this morning and is now 6:30.
It has been a fun day.
It has
I have
been a fun
loved
day.
it.
No, I've really been loving chatting with you, though.
Same.
When we're not stressed and trying to get a whole entire bridal party done.
And like stopping to like
Yeah.
also then just like chat with clients, chat with
Yes,
whoever,
yes.
or you
Yeah.
have like the silent panic moment.
No, we've been with each other all day and it's
Yeah.
been great. For this episode though, I did want to make it a little bit juicier of a episode because I wanted to purely dive in to all of the experiences that we've had as makeup artists. I'm sure Hannah has some fun ones, and then if I think of any off the top of my head, I'll definitely chime in too. But
Yes, please, because I'm gonna need to like hear some of yours too. Because like I just these are always the best things to listen to is like hearing artists be like,
They are
okay,
so
well there was
fun.
this one time, and you're like, ooh, I'm invested.
yes. And I know that obviously there's a bunch of people who will want us to really go in detail with things, but I also want the listeners and viewers to keep in mind that we do both still actively work as makeup artists.
Right.
So we do still have to maintain some sort of client privacy and also our reputation too. We can't just like
Completely.
badmouth everybody.
Right.
And we need to get jobs after this. I know you wrote down some notes, so I'm
I
anxious to hear
did.
about those.
And I just thought of actually like a pretty decent one that I guess I'll start off with because
Yes.
it was earlier on in my career, so then it'll kind of, make sense that it was at the beginning. Okay. And this wasn't necessarily the craziest story until part 2 happened to it, like later, which is just one of those small worlds. Like, what? What are the odds?
Okay.
So I was working at the salon taking a bridal party at this time. I was working with another artist who had been at the salon for years. And so she like was taking the bride and was like the primary, like I was more of like the assistant position in that dynamic. And I was very, very new. And I had a bridesmaid since, typically it's not as much pressure whenever you're not doing the bride and potentially even like mother of the bride. So I figured like, oh, I'm doing like bridesmaids, friends, maybe like
gonna be a
groom's
chill
mom
day.
or something.
Yeah.
Chill day.
Yeah.
I have a bridesmaid. She's very nice. And I don't recall all of the conversation leading up to this because this would have been, very beginning of my career, like 7 years ago. When we got to eyes, it was before I learned you don't keep handing them a mirror and asking, what do you think?
Oh, no.
Because you just like you're trying to overdo it and be like, oh, well, I'm going to ask so many questions and check in and make sure we're on the right path because I don't want to have to undo. But you don't realize it's like, no, you give them so much, they're going to take it all.
Yeah, but that does, to be fair, come from a very genuine place.
Yeah, like you're just
it's
trying
like
to
you
please.
it's like you truly just want to do the best that you can. But it does kind
Absolutely.
of bite you in the ass, though, too.
Yeah, because then like if you show them like any client of like any type of makeup across the board, if you show them a half finished product,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, whoa, like I don't like it. Well, of course, because it's not finished yet.
Well, yeah, and makeup's a process.
Trust the process.
And it looks so ugly sometimes right until you wrap it up at the very last minute. And it's like, boom, there it is.
Yeah, lashes and a lip, it'll change your life.
For sure. Yeah.
So I was definitely making the mistake of like, what do we think about the brows? And I would try to ask like the brows or the whatever. And then like, yes, but I don't like any of like the da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well, I haven't gotten there yet. So like, okay, well, at least I know what she's going for.
Yeah.
So then I started off very like light. I still do this to this day, but like I work light and build up because we can always add more very easily. We can always take off, but it's sometimes not as easy and not as quick. So if I'm going to do eyeshadow, like I'm not going to go diving in with like black,
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to build that up. Well, this bridesmaid, like it's too light. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I'm then, like trying not to get like overwhelmed
Flustered,
and
yeah.
like, you can feel your face warming up and you're just like, oh, I just can't make her happy. And so after it was just a battle and I'm like not trying to run late because I didn't have the confidence to just take control over the situation yet at that point in my career since being so new.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of, like you're just like quiet and like, okay, and like just doing things. And after like I was on the verge of tears and then she puts on her glasses because she wears glasses and like didn't have them whenever like she sat down. When she puts them on, she goes, oh wait, no, it's perfect. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was just like, yay, I'm so glad.
It's like, oh, so I went through this traumatic experience for nothing. Okay.
Well, I'm like, at least you're happy at the end of it. And then the other artist at that point ended up being like, are you okay? Like in like kind of like to the side, trying to be like,
Yeah,
like,
she could probably tell that you were not okay.
well, and she could hear the client like, no, I don't like it. I hate her. Whatever was coming out of her mouth. And then like, oh wait, no, it's perfect. Hee hee. Like, my bad. And then when she got her hair done too, she's like, wait, I've never felt more pretty. And I'm like, okay. So, like round the corner into like the bathroom and just like shed a few tears and be like, oh my God. So like, you know, not exactly a funny or crazy story, but then I'm working on set one day on this project, maybe the year after, 2 years after or something.
This first incident in the
From
salon
the first
happened?
incident,
Okay.
the first incident of the bridesmaid making me like basically cry. I'm on set. I think that, you know, this is a totally different atmosphere. I've been working with these same like group of like, you know, actors and actresses for like a little while now. And so like we're comfortable. We're a little not too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because like with them, it's like, yeah, this was nice to build up this relationship while still remaining like professional, but like you can be a little bit more lax or whatever, you know,
yeah.
however you choose to operate and navigate those situations. And so one of the lead actresses, she's like, oh my God, like tell me any stories. I was like, I don't have anything that's like that wild, but this happened, shared that story. At this point, we had some extras that were coming in. And this doesn't go exactly where you think it goes, but kind of close. It's adjacent. And I turn around after like telling that story as I'm like getting something else on my kit, and the bride of that wedding is standing behind me because turns out she like I don't think she fully knew because I didn't do her makeup.
She didn't overhear it or anything.
She maybe overheard,
Okay.
but I don't know if she would have put anything together because definitely me being like the secondary artist, not doing her makeup, there's a chance that she didn't pay a whole lot of attention to me
Or didn't remember you at all.
exactly.
Okay.
Or if like, you know, oh, she's not piecing me as like that same artist. If I, you know, am in a completely different field now, I'm not doing bridal, I'm working on a set, maybe and it never got brought up. And I actually ended up
that's good.
like,
That's good.
having to do her makeup for that day for set, like as an extra. And like, but when I turned back around to my like lead actress, I was like, oh, like that's the bride. Oh my God. Like, oh, like I'm never telling stories ever again. Like, this is horrifying. Like like lesson learned the hard way. Like, don't open a big mouth if you don't know the company you're with. And
oh my God.
so thankfully learned that very early in my career where things were still, you know, not like these crazy, like I've never even been on a set that's like a super intense, like, you know, like Hollywood level, like Universal Studio, like nothing like that. Cause I'm sure that would have been infinitely just like, oh, like you're blacklisted or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So luckily learned that lesson in a very small, very local like project and setting.
Yes.
Where the stakes, you know, still, you know, you don't want to screw anything up, but like they're not as high as if it was
for sure.
something that could be like reputation ruining.
Yep.
But yeah, learn that one the hard way.
What things in the universe just had to align for that to happen? You know?
Genuinely no idea. Genuinely, I was like, are we serious right now? Like this is happening.
Yeah, I can't even. That's so wild. That's so wild.
And because of that, like I can visualize the entire location. Like we were shooting on site at like a restaurant. And so I remember the layout. I remember exactly where I was, and I could just like see it. And then seeing her face, you never know who's going to be coming in and around. You gotta watch it. Also, you know, if somebody asks you like, because you know sometimes clients will ask like, oh, like have you ever worked with like a bad hairstylist or something, or a bad photographer? And then you know the one time that you're gonna be like, oh, it was like name drop, and then they like are also working the wedding or something. Like that's never happened, but you're just terrified that it might.
I know. Yeah. There's a lot of brides of mine that specifically ask like if I've had any bridezillas. That's been a common question of mine.
Yeah.
And while I have, I don't ever name drop people.
No.
And I don't ever like share details or anything. But sometimes I'll be like, yeah, like sometimes I do have people that are like a little bit more difficult, but I've never had any like bridezillas per se, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll joke around and be like, yeah, I've had momzillas because that happens more often.
Yeah, momzillas are bad.
But I won't like share details because I'm like, oh, karma's gonna bite me in the ass. I'm just gonna put my foot in my mouth.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best way. Or just like speaking like super vaguely. In my experience, like I cannot think of a bridezilla that was ever like to that caliber where I would like really have like stories about like, you know, something even on par with like the show Bridezilla.
I really honestly haven't had that many bridezillas, but I have had people that were like a little bit more like particular about their looks and stuff. And so we had to like, I just had to work with them a little bit more, but there really wasn't a situation that I can think of off the top of my head. I can think of like 3 moments that were a little bit more difficult to deal with.
Oh no.
It wasn't anything like crazy. It just was like something that I personally set myself up for in some situations.
Yeah.
One of them wasn't my fault at all though. But the first one though happened when I very first right off the gate like started as a freelancer.
Oh,
it was
so it was like right when you're dipping your toes in
it was
this.
like in 2018. And I think I only charged like $65 at the time.
That sounds about right for the time.
Yeah, like $65, $70, something around there.
Yeah.
I had this bride who reached out to me through, I think, just Facebook Messenger or something. Not my personal one, but it was through my business page. I did have a business page at the time.
Yeah.
And she goes, hey, my date's, you know, on this date. Do you have it available? I have myself and like 2 other people. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That seems like a pretty chill wedding.
Yeah.
It was out of town, but not like very far out of Fort Wayne, but it was like in one of the surrounding cities. So yeah, it was about a 45-minute drive to that location.
Not too bad.
Yeah, but I also kind of made the mistake of not charging a travel fee when I first began.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. Like
you wouldn't
know,
think
like
about it.
No, it's like you really don't know that that's like supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, for time and gas at the very least.
So it was like 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. So it's like an hour and a half that I'm traveling without any compensation.
Yeah.
And then I was only charging $65, $70 at the time. So I really wasn't making that much. And I believe that I also didn't make people do a trial beforehand.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like some artists operate that way, but I like to personally include them in my packages now.
Yeah.
Because I personally like to meet the person ahead of time. I like to be able to solidify the look ahead of time. And that way we're not doing the consultation and the application on the actual wedding day. Because it gets kind of wild sometimes.
It definitely can.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't take a deposit either ahead of time. There's no contracts. There's no deposits. I didn't take anything.
Yeah, you're just fully going on with like honor system.
Yeah, fully on the honor system. Just taking their word for it.
Yeah.
So I was
all
going,
start there.
I know. So this person I remember was asking me several questions, like not like bothersome sort of questions, or not like too many questions, but just, you know, pertaining to the wedding. But I just felt like we were going back and forth forever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember that she worked as a nurse, and so I knew that she had like swing shift sort of situations.
Oh, like 12 on, 12 off.
Yeah. So I understood at that point in time, but she would just ghost me for like weeks at a time. Weeks, not days, weeks.
Oh man.
And I was trying to be sympathetic because I knew that she had this crazy schedule.
Not that crazy.
No, I know. And I'm like, okay, but you should be able to like at least respond like with like one message every like couple of days or something.
That should be decently manageable.
Yeah. And I think she reached out to me like 4 months before her wedding date. So like it was pretty soon up until then. So anyways, we went back and forth though, trying to schedule a trial for her. Okay. And eventually we got to a point where she goes, I don't think we're going to be able to fit in this trial. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like I'll just show up on your wedding day then. That's completely fine. But I would like to schedule a phone call with you.
Yeah.
Just to go over all the details, because usually I go over this during the trials, but since we're not doing one, I need to figure out what we're doing ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so she goes, oh, okay, yeah. And she's like, how long will that take? I'm like, I don't know, probably like 15 minutes or so. We scheduled a phone call, and I remember I worked at my office job at the time, and it was actually going to be like right in the middle of my office job days because I was trying to compensate her schedule. So it was at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, and that's like the only time she had a break because she was working like thirds, I think, at the time.
Oh, brutal. But then you're like compromising your job.
I know.
Like,
and so it was like, yeah, it was either she was working her second or thirds, but maybe seconds, because I think she had to go to bed at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something. So I, at this point in time though, was like so annoyed though, because I literally just kept getting like ghosted like every week or so by her.
Oh, that's so annoying.
To the point where I would have to follow up every single time and be like, hey, did you get this message? Hey, did you get this message? Can you like let me know if you got this?
Yikes. Yeah.
And it was like Facebook Messenger though, so you could know if they read it or not.
Which is kind of a plus.
It is, but like she would read it and then not respond to me for a week. So like that was my main issue. So I was really fed up by this point in time, but I was really just trying to be courteous of her and her schedule.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, this phone call rolls around. I call her. She doesn't answer.
Of course she doesn't.
I leave her a voicemail. And then I like wait because I'm like, okay, well maybe she like overslept, because of her schedule. Maybe she was just tired the next day, I don't know what happened,
Yeah.
So anyways, me trying to be a nice person, I waited like a half hour and then I called her again. Called her again,
man.
didn't answer. Then I left her a second voicemail. I'm like, hey, I was like, I really need to talk to you. If you do not respond to me, like by the end of today, like either through text or by phone call or something, I'm going to basically consider our services terminated at this point because
Good for you.
I was like, I'm not messing around.
Yeah. No,
And
wasting
so-
your time.
I know. And it's like, I mean, I understand that you have this wild schedule, but at the same time, like I also have a life too.
Yeah.
And I'm literally pausing my job to work, and do this for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a text message from her that night and she goes, hey, sorry, like my phone's been kind of weird and buggy and it's been not like receiving phone calls or messages or whatever. And I'm like, but like you've read every single one of my Facebook messages, so I know that's not true.
Yeah. Like you've been caught red-handed.
I know.
Also, you don't need your phone to open a Facebook Messenger. Like you can get on a laptop, a desktop, you can get on anything.
You can even go to the library and check it,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
like
for
there's
free.
ways.
Like, yeah, figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. And so I'm like, if you know that you're trying to hear back from somebody, especially for your wedding, it's like, wouldn't you want to make sure you can like receive those messages somehow?
Right. You want to communicate with
Or, like,
your
check in.
vendors.
Yeah. We rescheduled the phone call for the next day. Guess what happened?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that.
I know. And at this point in time, we were like a month out from the wedding.
Yeah. It's like, we need to part ways. You clearly don't want to talk to me.
So I don't think we actually were able to jump on a phone call with each other until like 3 weeks before the wedding.
Wow.
I really was at this point where I just wanted to pull out. But at the same time, though, I was like, oh, well, I look like unprofessional if I just, terminate this and don't go any further. But she also doesn't have any money invested in this at the time. Like I didn't take deposits.
Yeah. No contracts.
There's no contracts.
Yeah.
There's
and
nothing.
You don't even know
tying
the
us.
plan.
No, I know. And I was like, I literally, besides just the date and the location, I had no idea about what she wanted to do. I didn't know what time she wanted me to show up. She didn't know what time she wanted me to show up. And I was like, I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah. No, that's incredibly tough, especially like newly going off freelance. Like,
Yes.
that's just
It was
all of sorts of unfortunate.
that was pretty much the gist of the situation, though. It's just like a bunch of going back and forth and just not solidifying things. But at the same time, though, it was also kind of like me learning as a newer artist
Yeah.
and obviously figuring out what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
no.
why contracts and deposits are really important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm one that like does not naturally really want to even like tread into that territory because it's so I'm like, I just want to show up and do the makeup, man. Like the business
know.
administration stuff and like collecting
None
like,
of us want
the
to do it.
contracts and the
Yeah.
deposits. But just like you get burned so many times that it can turn even somebody like you or me that are like, okay, fine, you need a deposit or this conversation is not continuing. Like
Right,
I
right,
will
yeah.
not be doing this. But it took a long time to like develop that backbone for sure.
Yeah.
And the confidence of like, if I lose your business, that's, there's so many other artists, like it must be a sign that like, that's okay. Like we can go separate ways and we'll both mutually be happier.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to conclude, though, that I actually did end up doing that wedding.
You did.
I did.
I was just about to ask too.
Yes.
So everybody happy?
Yeah, I was like, it ended up being totally fine. She loved the first go with the makeup and everything.
Thank God.
'Cause, yeah, eventually that 3 weeks before the wedding, we ended up actually talking
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
phone, had a 15-minute conversation. We went over the timeline and went over what she wanted, mainly just the neutral glam that I usually do anyways nowadays.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did her and then her sister. And then she wanted me to touch up some like spots like on the groom's face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually used to carry the Arsume palette in my kit.
Such a good one.
And so I used that to conceal a few blemishes that he had. But besides that, though, it was
perfection.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, actually everybody like tipped me and everything too. Like I got pretty
Hey.
good tips from that wedding. And yeah, so I mean, like they definitely appreciated what I did.
Yeah.
But it was also at this like really sketchy like community center. And so I had to like I was out in the middle of nowhere. Like it was literally in this wooded area off this highway. And I'm like, I am gonna get murdered.
Okay, that story just gave me now 3 different stories that I didn't even have notes for, that I was like, oh, that reminds me of this. And just saying the middle of nowhere, am I going to die, literally reminds me of a story.
We sometimes have to go through it where you're just like showing up for things. And you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I might get murdered. I might get kidnapped. I might get held for ransom. Who knows?
I'm still doing that. I mean, luckily with safety checks in place.
Yes.
One of my jobs that I had in the past, when I was in like teenage years.
Yes.
I knew somebody who then ended up getting engaged. I wasn't certified. I wasn't anything, like I hadn't gone through that process yet, but like she knew that I really enjoyed doing makeup.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I think I want you to do my wedding makeup. And I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Like
great.
I've not really done this before. Like so cool.
Wait, so was that your first wedding experience then?
Kind of. I think it's a blur.
Okay.
I just know since like we were very like friendly and casual with being coworkers, that like I remember, it wasn't in like a professional setting when I was like doing a trial on her. Like it was more like she just kind of like came over. We did one like trial with like the light stuff that I had that wasn't my own. It was like starting to like figure out, oh, what can I do on other people and whatever, and started like, I remember I had just gotten like the KVD, well at the time like Kat Von D, like Alchemist palette.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so it was like
I
these like
remember that. Yeah.
shimmery little highlighter thingies.
Yes.
And after the first trial we did, she was just like, I just don't think we've got it. Like I think we need another trial. And I'm new, so I'm just like, sure, okay.
Were you charging for?
No.
Okay.
Of course I wasn't, because
why would you?
why would I do that?
Why would you do that? That's silly.
Like no, like if you're saying that you're new in the business and you did a trial, of course it was for free. Don't do that.
No, seriously.
Yeah, if you're touching someone's face, you're charging for it.
Or I used to charge like 50% of the actual application price. I'm like, oh yeah, the trial should be cheaper. I'm like, why would it be cheaper? You're doing
the exact same thing.
Actually, it's kind of like double the work because you're spending more time actually consulting with them and doing the application.
Yeah,
I spend 2 hours during my previews.
Yeah, trials should be more expensive. up the rate.
Okay. Well, anyways.
So then, second trial completely for free. And then she tells me like, she's kind of giving me like various pushback. Like, I still don't think we've got it. And I, at this point, realize I'm like, I don't know what you're looking for then. Like, I truly don't.
What did she originally ask for?
She didn't really have a super idea.
Oh,
so, it
so
kind
no
of
like reference pictures or anything?
Not that I recall, and like kind of like was searching for things. So I remember the first one we went really like, light, neutral, like, some tans, some browns, some like gold shimmer or something, very traditional in 2016, 17, whatever it was at the time, like bridal.
Right.
And then busted out the Alchemist palette for the second look because I was like, oh, maybe you want like a little more pink or a little more like color. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like shifted gears. Still wasn't it. And then her wedding was going to be in the middle of like, go on an annual family vacation. And so I was going to need to leave like a couple days early from that. And I only go for a week, go to like a lake place that like a side of my family rents, and so I try not to miss that. Like that's I've been doing we've done it for like 4 generations. So I was like, dude, like I didn't charge you for this. You're now giving me attitude. Like she got weird with me. Just like, well, I just don't know. Like we're just not like finding like what we're gonna need to keep working on this. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like what? Like why are you? And I ended up just being like, I don't think that this is going to work.
Yeah,
like, this isn't going to work. And if I'm going to miss my vacation for this and you're being like this and you're not offering any compensation and I'm not charging. So I know that was on me, but it's, it was just getting frustrating all the way around and like figuring like what's in this for me. Mm-hmm. So I pulled the plug on it. I think it completely pissed her off. I don't really know. I don't remember, but like, there wasn't a dynamic
like, what else
after
would
that.
You have done? Because you can't just like take that,
No,
it's like you got to stand your ground after a while.
Yeah. So I learned that pretty quick, which then reminded me of another client that I had to stand my ground with, but in the most bizarre of situations. And another kind of like 2-parter where I'm like, why does this keep happening? So this was through the salon. A client had just called in and randomly booked a trial. I happened to be available, so she was just randomly placed with me. She didn't like seek me out and didn't find me.
Okay.
But we hit it off during a trial, had a really nice time, chit-chatting. She had asked about on-site like services, and I was like, that is something that if you're interested in, I will need to know in advance. Like we'll need to address like your address, timeframes, travel fees. For now, like we have you back here at the salon on this day for your wedding and for your party. And but like if you want to discuss on-site services, like you need to contact me privately or like get a hold of the salon to get a hold of me. This needs to be a discussion. For now, the way you're leaving your trial, you're coming back here for your services. The night before, I kid you not, it was between like 8 and 9 p.m. Maybe it was even 9 p.m. I get a text from her and it's just an address. And so there no prior like text communication. Like or maybe there was like one because I had her like saved in my phone so I knew what her number was, or I just added her, but like we weren't talking. There was no like, hey, like wanted to follow up about this, like,
hey, this is so and so. Nope, just address.
Just address.
Okay.
And I wasn't doing like any of my like own confirming because she was going to be through the salon where there's auto text and phone call confirmations that go out, and like they have to like fill in and do everything through that. So I didn't, it wasn't going to be, I was like, oh, the salon is doing the confirmations. This is the salon's client, so they're handling this. She just sends me an address, and I said, oh, like we had you down at the salon at this time tomorrow. Did you get your confirmation for that? Like we never discussed on site. If you would like that, we just need to bump the start time up, and this will be your travel fee. Because I had the address, so I could factor my travel fee.
Right.
And then I told her, I was like, you know, if the salon opens at 9 a.m., if you were coming at 9, we're going to need to maybe do more of like a 7:30 or something, because there was a factor. I don't know if she texted me the address and like a different end time or something else. There was something that factored the start time.
But you knew you had to start earlier.
I knew I needed to start earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her no. I didn't cancel on her. I was just like, this wasn't discussed, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We can still do it. The text I get back, my father died yesterday and you're doing this to me. I can't believe you. You're canceling on me. Like sideways. It went sideways so fast.
How did she interpret that as you canceling on her?
I'm not sure, but you know, if her father had just passed, which I fully, like, why would she lie? Like, oh my gosh, I totally can imagine that your head is anywhere but on your shoulders right now. So
right.
Sure. Like, lash out at me, but let's make one thing clear. I didn't cancel on you.
Yeah,
like I
for
did
sure.
not cancel on you. I was just like, I want to reiterate, like I can still offer your services. Like we can go ahead with everything as planned. Besides, you know, it'll be a different location, and I just need to switch the times. But she pulled the plug on all of it. And I remember my final text to her was just like, I am confirming that you are canceling on me.
Yeah.
And then she had to reply. I was basically kind of strong-armed her into saying yes.
Like, yes, I understand. Yeah.
30 minutes later, I get a text. Hey, I'm so sorry to do this to you so last minute. My friend's getting married tomorrow and her makeup artist just canceled on her. Are you available? And this was somebody that I had known years in the past, but we weren't like actively still in communication. But like,
oh no.
I was like, I do not want to out this, but I have a very strong suspicion we are speaking of the same person. And I've only ever done this one particular occasion, but I sent her screenshots. I was like, I need to clear my name a little bit. Yeah. Like if there's, and I still even told her, I was like, I'm still willing to go and do it.
Yeah.
I'm still willing to go and do it.
Sure.
Like I'm not going to leave. Like I do not.
So this was the night before.
The night before.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I'm not her biggest fan right now, but I feel really, really horrible that she just lost her father before her wedding.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, of course I'll still go do this, even though I really do not want to see her in person ever again. And then the mutual was just like, I'm really sorry. Like she's going through a lot right now. I'm really sorry that she did this to you. Like I understand completely this wasn't you, but I was panicked for like a month. I was like, my reputation, who's she telling?
Yeah,
like what's
you never
happening?
Know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But besides getting that text being like, oh my gosh, can you help? I was like, yes, but I don't think she wants me to. And no, she didn't. I didn't do it. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Don't know if she ever found anybody else.
I have no idea, but I mean, grief does funny things to people.
It does,
and
yeah.
So, you know, I hope that she's, you know, had a happy wedding day and, you know, has been able to heal from that. But I had never been so just like shocked at something. I was just like, what? Like I was still living with my parents. I was like, what do I do? Like, what do I say back to this? Like panicking. Okay, so that was the end of story 2. Let me see it now, of course, because I'm trying to remember what story 3 was. Oh, yes, it was like trailing off in like the woods and being like,
oh yeah,
lost.
being out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
So, Bride messages me on Instagram.
Okay.
2018-19, something like that.
Okay.
And luckily I was dating Christian at that time, my boyfriend.
Okay.
And so she's like, I just want you to do my makeup. My bridal party doesn't want anything.
Okay.
I need you to come to this like address, and it's like an hour away, just over the Michigan border. And so I'm just like, sure, here's the travel fee. Like, and she's like, sounds great. And I'm like, cool, she's paying it. So whatever, like, sure. I asked Christian to come with me because I'm like, okay, I'm driving just for one client. So you're not going to be there for like the whole day and hours.
That's really smart that you brought him with you.
Yeah, no. And like, I obviously would never come into the venue. Like sometimes that's like a safety measure that I'll use. Like he always has my location. And sometimes if he can tag along and just kind of chill in the car, if it's like a short, quick thing, something like that. So then I'm not alone traveling like over straight lines. And you know, thank God I did, but like not because of the people, like they were very, very nice. But as we're driving further and further into Michigan, turning off the highway, dirt road, full dirt gravel, like tires like slipping around, like, and I swear it felt like it was narrowing. And Christian's just like, you made a wrong turn. I was like, you're looking at the GPS. Look at it. Like we are going exactly where we need to be going. And it says that it is going to be up here on the right. What are we getting? What am I getting us into here? So,
oh my God,
pull up where it says it's about to be like a destination is on your right. Look, between like there's trees, then this giant driveway emerges, and it is an actual estate.
Oh.
In the middle of nowhere off a dirt road. There's a whole estate with like pillars. There are people like in like just like matching suits all, and I don't know if it was like groomsmen or who it was, but they're flying like drones all over the place, like cameras and stuff. So I was just like, oh my gosh. I park on the road because I tend to park on the street, especially just not wanting to get blocked in, and this driveway was enormous. So I'm like, I'm just gonna suffer and just haul the kid up this like quarter-mile long driveway, and so that Christian could recline his seat and kind of chill like in the car. When I get in there, like realize quickly that I have no idea what's going on, like at all. Like I didn't see the bride. Whoever let me in was not like the bride. And there's so many people there, like so many people. Like all over the place, like just a bunch of different rooms. And it's like a giant mansion. So there's all of these different like seating rooms. And so like I get placed in the room with like the piano, and like, you'll be getting her ready here.
Like, they had a piano.
They had a piano in there.
Turns
out they were both in the Air Force, bride and groom. It was an Airbnb that they rented because they were from all over the country, and all of their guests were. So then this place was big enough to house everybody. So everyone like stayed there, so and like, the wedding was on the property. So it started making more sense.
That's smart though.
Isn't it? Like it was really smart.
Really smart. Yeah.
And nobody was from the area. So they just picked like a neutral territory that everybody just flew to and then just like went. Yeah. Maybe it was central to, I don't know those details, but she ended up telling me like, yeah, like the only reason that like you're just doing me is because my bridal party saw that you did like special effects and thought like, oh, I don't want her doing my makeup. But this was the first time I ever heard this. And I was like, oh, like, thanks, girl. Where she was like, but I told them like, are you kidding? If she can do that, she can absolutely do bridal.
That's what my whole thought process was when I first looked at your page, and I was like, I feel like if she can do this, she can probably do anything.
Well, I'm glad that there are people out there that like think that and see that and be like, oh, well, I still have faith in you. Because I'm sure that it's not a one size fits all. I'm sure that the pendulum doesn't swing both ways always. But I appreciated that she did like look further enough, because I don't just have my intense things online. Like there's a mix. So she had faith in me. And so when all of her bridal party were coming and going, then like at first it was just like, oh, you're the effects artist. To then like, oh, like she looks really nice. It's like, thanks. But yeah, then when I end up leaving, like it's like, wow, that turned into something that I didn't expect it to. This was relatively normal for like a bizarre intro to it. When I get back in the car, load everything up, I'm like, all right, ready to go. Christian's just like, thank God you're here. There have been like so many people like walking around, and I just like laying in your car, like recline the seats. It's like, I'm so uncomfortable. They're just like, who is this guy? I'm like, well, thank you for making sure that I didn't get like killed in the woods. Because it really truly felt that way until all of a sudden like full mansion appears. But it's like skinny dirt road. Where are we?
Oh no, I'd be very sketched out too.
So
I totally understand that. But no, I'm glad it ended up going okay though. So that must have been a really cool estate to see too.
It was neat. I wish I would have been able to actually like really like take a look at things, because I'm typically like, I go like front door, go to get escorted to the location,
right,
and then kind of just like dip. So then I'm like, I'm a wallflower, I'm out of the way.
I know, that's kind of what I try to do too. But yeah, it's like some of the places though anymore that like I get to go to and everything is very, very cool. I don't think I ever got when I was in like the lower price ranges. I don't think I ever really got those opportunities like that. But and now that I'm kind of hitting like the luxury like bridal market,
Good.
I'm going to very elaborate places. Like I just had a event that I work, not an event, but like there was this reunion that these two moms were hosting. And it was a $2 million house
That would have been
with
a
an insane
trip to see.
with a like with all these acres of like they sat on like 10 acres of property.
Holy cow.
But the house itself, like it had a carriage house.
Oh my gosh. That would have been so fun to see. And
this
just
was
like work
this was
in.
just in February.
Oh my gosh.
It just happened.
Yeah. Oh, I
And it was
live
so
for those
cool.
times.
Oh yeah, they said they built the house I think like in 2019 or something they said.
Ooh, so
Yeah.
like new build.
It
and
was
just
like
oh, glorious.
Yeah, it was a somewhat new build. It's one of those driveways that kind of just goes back in the woods and you just always are wondering what kind of house or what kind of property's back there.
Yeah. Oh,
It's one of
yeah.
those. And so I was just driving on this driveway. Oh, and keep in mind they also like paved and like stamped concrete this whole entire driveway leading up to their property. Stamped concrete.
I'm obsessed. Like
That's
now
what I'm saying.
that's how you do it.
I know.
Like if you got it
Probably one
like
of those
that,
nice like heated ones too, you know?
probably like their cars are never going to be covered with any like snow or
Oh, no,
frost.
they
Like,
had,
no,
like-
it's warmed.
Yeah, it was like, and they had like these really nice like BMW SUVs and this Lamborghini SUV that was sitting in their garage, and I was like, yep.
I feel like the most elaborate house that I ever went to, I was invited to do extended family that was attending an Indian wedding. And so I've never done a proper like Indian wedding, like for like the bride or any of like the
I've
immediate
done a
family.
few. It's really fun.
It seems so fun. Like
It is really fun.
I've
yeah.
talked like inquiries, but then just like it didn't work out like timing wise. Like I feel like the few that I've gotten asked, it's like over that vacation that where I'm like,
Right.
and then when you start like, you know, being like, okay, well, what if I drop from like 3 looks a day to 1? And it's like, well, then that's not worth me missing my vacation. But like I enjoyed getting to do like, I believe it was maybe aunt or a couple aunts and then like a cousin of the bride.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I pulled up, there was a fountain in the driveway. Like the driveway like was separated for a fountain. Like don't mind like the 5 luxury cars in the driveway. I'm like I'm not minding them. I'm admiring them.
admiring them.
Like
yeah.
very much loving them. Like
Yeah, right.
awesome. Like excellent taste. I was just like, oh my gosh.
dang.
Like this is one of the like biggest, prettiest homes like I've ever seen.
Did you feel like you kind of like made it at that point in time?
Like kind of a bit. I was just like, wow, I'm getting these calls. Like get more of these. Like this would be awesome.
Right. Right.
Then I get led into the house and escorted to the room where I will be like doing the makeup in. And I was placed in the 3rd sitting room. 3rd.
Oh. Okay.
And this-
so, okay, it's like that then. Okay.
This room was like the size of maybe, I don't know, like a small restaurant. It felt like it was a large room with like beautiful windows, beautiful curtains, beautiful rugs. Like everything was so ornate and gorgeous.
Yes.
I'm just like, I can't do makeup in this room. Like, what do you mean?
What
Like,
if I drop something?
yeah, like I can't get anything on the carpet. Like, it was just gorgeous. And it was literally just like couches and tables, but like very ornate, gorgeous thing, like furniture. And so I was like, no, this is apparently truly a sitting room. And they're like, oh yeah, you don't need to take off your shoes. I was like, yes, I do. Yeah, like I'm not stepping footing this home with shoes on. Like I'm not gonna
You
ruin
said this is an
anything.
Indian wedding, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't just have you take your shoes off automatically.
I don't know.
Because
It
every
was-
single Indian house I've gone into, they've always been like, hey, can you take off your shoes here? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So there's like a bunch of shoes that are like collected in the doorway usually.
And I found that sometimes, like, even if I notice, because I always ask when entering anyone's home, just because, you know, I like to be mindful of that. Don't want to track things in. If it's not like, you know, don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And so I'll always ask, like, hey, shoes on, off, what are your preference? I don't care. That's why I stopped wearing, like, I'll wear like socks like these to things like this, but I have to like not wear. I have a lot of fun socks.
The smiley face socks that Hannah's wearing right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Love the smiley face socks.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'll be like, you know, old, like I think I have a pair of like Victorious socks.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And like, I'm not gonna want to like get caught with those like at some like
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous mansion. Like, let me just walk around in my like 10-year-old Victorious sock.
It's like trying to wear like black socks or gray or something solid, you know?
Yeah, even though like you don't expect to take your shoes off, but
No.
sometimes you do.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
And they were just really nice. Like, no, you don't need to worry about it. I was like, what? No, like I'm doing it. So, Yeah, no, that was a gorgeous house.
Oof. Yeah.
And it was like a newer build on like the outer lying areas of like city limits, because the address like didn't like, it wasn't even in like Google Maps at this point yet.
Oh,
so
nice.
it was like, yeah, all of this, and it was just like, holy cow, I aspire to get to this level someday. Like, this
Yes.
is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, there is a Indian family's house. Mine was also a new build too. I knew where this house was generally located because it's on my way to a venue that I go to a lot. But every single time I'm always like looking at it, I'm like, wow, I really would like to go inside that house. And so
You manifested
I
it.
did.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's
It's
so exciting.
such a cool house. But yeah, it doesn't have a well, do they have a fountain in the front? They might have a fountain in the front because there is definitely like a circle driveway, but they planted all these bushes that are like lined up the driveway, and the whole entire thing is like a really gorgeous driveway.
Yeah.
And of course all the luxury cars that they have sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's like this giant house. Like, you cannot miss it.
Oh,
And
gorgeous.
it's so pretty. So I really wanted to set up in the kitchen, but there was like a lot of commotion going on because like with Indian families, it seems like everybody just stays at that house. Like, they pick the biggest house out of like all the family.
Yeah,
And then they just
kinda,
have
like,
everybody stay
bunk
there.
up. Yeah.
This house had like 10 bedrooms.
Oh my
10.
God. 10 bedrooms.
Yeah, and they had like 15 bathrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was like freaking 25 people or something that were staying at that house or something. It was
probably comfortably too.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was a 2-story house with a basement.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had like and I think there was rooms in the basement and everything too. And so there's this beautiful kitchen area with like all these big windows and lining the back half of the house where the kitchen was, and had this gorgeous entryway with like the spiral staircases like going up like the entrance and everything on both sides. And I was like, dang,
that's a
gorgeous chandelier
dream.
hanging from the foyer, you know?
Oh, stunning.
And I was just like, dang, I was like, I really want to just admire this house.
And seriously. Well, and I'm just now realizing like what a fun little aspect of our job, just like getting to go to these homes and like
It's
be
so
invited
fun.
in and
Yeah.
like. Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
sometimes and then I'm sure you've gotten this, just like getting offered food and like, oh, don't even worry, I'll just fix you a plate, and like people just being so
gosh.
like hospitable. And,
Indian families are so hospitable too.
yeah. Oh,
There's like,
yeah.
here, you want me to feed you? Here you go. I did like 4 people, I think, for that wedding, but I was hired in the morning. Like, because Indian weddings were super early in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I already had trouble finding that house because for some reason they didn't leave any like lights on or anything. And then they had me come back at around like 3 or 4 o'clock, I want to say, because then you have to do outfit changes and then makeup changes.
Yep.
So they had me come back and then flip all their makeups and everything. And it was a whole thing. But I mean, they ended up being like the nicest people.
Oh, good.
And then I got hired by them. I think it wasn't last year. I think it was the year before that, to do a couple of people that I did makeup for that first wedding.
Oh, so you got to like like a callback. Yeah.
I guess I just appreciate the clients that really do love what you do, and they'll just continually do that. And honestly, if you get in with Indian families or any like Middle Eastern, Asian sort of families, they'll love you forever, and they'll continue to hire you if you do a really good job.
Oh yeah, no, it's always sweet whenever you can like start building those relationships and people just trust you and will
Yes.
then refer you out, hopefully to
Yes.
other families, so then you
Right,
can
right.
like keep this cycle going.
Yes,
It's so
for
wonderful
sure.
when that happens.
Yes.
I have a few notes here. I'll let you pick. I have the trailer, mom's getting in fight, and unsure if client left the premises.
I know. I was reading. Yeah, Hannah wrote down these 3 notes, and I was like, okay, but I kind of want to like hear all of them.
I just jotted those down so fast that now looking at them, I'm like, that is hilarious. That sounds so unhinged, like all in a row like that. Okay, mom's getting in a fight.
Yes.
That one, unfortunately, no resolution to it. But,
okay.
well, that I was aware of, because you're only around for tidbits of things. This was a wedding
true.
story.
Okay.
So I was at a venue that we frequent often.
Noted.
And I'm in the back area that we, typically hair sets up in, and we try to avoid. I was stuck back there because hair had already been doing their thing for like a little bit. And like, this was a more casual wedding. Somebody that I had known from my past that then were like, hey, it's been a while, but like, would you do my wedding makeup? I'm like, absolutely. Like, honored. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so going there and doing like a few people in her party, I want to say maybe did like 2 bridesmaids, her and her mom. Wait, I did both moms. So both moms, 2 bridesmaids and bride. So not the busiest day, especially because the moms wanted very minimal, very light.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm back there and I am now doing one of the bridesmaids. And then all of a sudden, bride comes back frantic. His mom just pushed mine and then slapped her.
Oh my God. What?
Everybody's like, what? Like, she hit her? And like, yes, she hit her. She put hands on her.
What could possibly escalate to that? What?
Two late 50, early 60-year-old women? I have no idea. But then bride is panicking.
Well, yeah.
Full panicking. And then when her mom comes to sit in the chair, just like, I swear if she comes at me again, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, oh, we're heated. We're so, like, justifiably, like, if you were just approached and then like swung on, like, oh my gosh.
So, okay, it was the groom's mom that slapped her? Okay. Mm-hmm. Dang.
To my understanding, all of this is hearsay because I didn't witness it, but this is just from like the chatter in the getting ready space that was happening. And then just trying to figure out how to be the vendor in that situation, going like, shall we continue with the makeup?
I know.
Like,
it's like, what do I say at this point in time? Like,
'cause
there's really nothing I can say.
No, and bridesmaids trying to think like, do I need to completely stop what I'm doing right now to go address the situation? Do I need to go and like help calm bride down or go break up 60-year-old women fighting in whatever space they were fighting in, the parking lot? Like, what are we doing? And I have no idea what ended up happening after that. And groom's mom just had a very visible attitude.
So you never figured out what the
problem
was about?
No. Well, because then, everybody kind of like hush hushes and like you're not able to like step out and be like, hey, what was that? Like, you're still working, you're in the space, you need to keep up the energy, be like,
for sure.
hey, we have good vibes and music and yeah. But yeah, no, those were the moms getting in a fight. No idea what happened. I never got any follow-up. I got a picture, like, or like a few pictures being like, hey, here's some shots, like, thank you so much, like, loved it, like, did great job.
I mean, at least you did your job good.
But like, there was never any like, oh, and here's the reason that our moms were fighting. Like, that's not going to be the text follow-up from anybody.
But also that kind of disappointed that wasn't a follow-up.
Right. Like, be like, hey, this is what happened. Like, this is what went down.
Like, we're girls. We need the tea.
Exactly. Like, especially,
like, I need a resolution.
Like, if you're going to drop that on me mid-job, like, I need to figure out what happened.
That's what I'm saying.
And I guess a little bonus story, just because it pertains to that same venue.
Yeah.
I think you already know this one, but I had the mother of the groom have a medical like blood sugar dip and pass out and like fall into like my arms. Yeah. I do horribly with medical emergency. Well, not that was totally a medical emergency. Like, the situation like wasn't great, but like we were all we knew what was happening and we knew how to get to a resolution.
Yeah.
And so like it wasn't like, we needed to call an ambulance or something like that.
Right.
Thankfully, being the setup of the venue that it was, groomsmen weren't far, so then could have groomsmen come and just like make sure everything was safe. Yes. Bridesmaids, all nurses.
See, that's fantastic.
So the second that it started happening, well, I looked and I was like, all of you now. I do not care, because there was a spilled beverage, and so I'm like, well, let me clean this up, like make sure there's not going to be a slip risk, try to not get it on any equipment that anybody was using, kit stuff, like anything, because it was Sprite, so it was like sticky. So I like went through every single paper towel in the entire vicinity, and we got it resolved. But during that process, sweat off every stitch of makeup that I had put on.
Oh no.
Yeah, so then it's just like trying to reorganize to then they like, okay, we're saving you for the very end when you're feeling nice and refreshed, and let's start over.
How far along in the application did you get before that happened?
Not too far. Luckily, I hadn't made it to eyes yet. I'm face first kind of girl, so I had gotten all of the base done, was about to start moving on to brows to then go to eyes to the lips.
But it still was like enough.
Yeah.
That must have been so scary too.
Genuinely terrifying.
Did you like have to physically catch her then?
Yes. I had to go behind her. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't deal well with emergency situations like that either.
I am horrible
like,
at it.
somebody's had a seizure in front of me before, and I'm just like, somebody else needs to deal with this. I don't know what to do.
Oh, and seizures are terrifying.
They are terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
so
a side note. Yeah.
It's brutal whenever anything like that. Because then I kept checking, like, are you sure you don't want to like take a break? Can I get you anything? It's really warm back here. I knew something, and nothing that I like that sets my anxiety off more when I can tell, like, just like a sense or like something visibly is like you're losing a bit of color, like I don't know if you're doing so well, like, and then I'm like, let's check in, because it takes a lot for me to get to that point where I'm like, do we need to take a pause? Do we need to do something?
Right.
And that, like, I was not, like, I asked her like 4 times.
Right.
And then just started falling over. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, just like, yeah, I don't know, I didn't eat today. And it's like, okay. Like, I get it. Your son's getting married, but yeah, like, that was just scary. That was scary.
Yeah.
Wow. And this just reminded me of another. See, I knew I had stories. It's just,
something has to trigger them.
yeah, because, like, yeah, another little, like, give you a trio. Everything was set up. Like, I didn't have contact with the bride for this. Had a trial, and things were weird, but, like, fine enough. Like, what was weird was the conversation.
Okay.
You know, if, like, trying to be like, oh, how'd you guys meet? How'd the proposal go? Like, you know, any wedding plans, honeymoon plans, like, anything you want to talk about. Pulling teeth. Absolutely pulling teeth.
Those conversations are hard.
yeah. And it's like, I'm no stranger to them, and, you know, it can just detour and find like what's our common ground? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
And then go into that. Nothing.
Oof.
Absolutely nothing.
That's rough.
And some interesting, like, little requests that's, like, not a big deal. Makeup still look good, but just, like, interesting. Like
what kind of requests?
Like leaving like different, like, sunspots, like, visible and things.
Okay.
And so it's like, oh yeah, like, that's fine, we can absolutely do that. But, like, I've never been asked that one before, so, like, just enough where in the moment I was like, oh, interesting trial. That was just a weird one, but like, everything was fine and good vibes, and, like, everything seemed nice, so cool.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything of it. Wedding day comes. I can't even begin to explain what, like, I don't know what happened. Like, this is quite literally the only time I've ever been so uncomfortable doing someone's makeup. Like, I need to leave. I feel so uncomfortable.
Oh.
I don't know what was going on. I don't know if this was something emotional, something mental.
Like, was it something with her specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that weddings are very high stress. I don't know what was going on. I didn't have any answers, but all I knew what was happening and, like, what I was experiencing. I would ask questions, even just like, are we doing the same thing as the trial? Like, have my pictures and notes and everything ready to go. Not answering anything. Like, not responding to me, but was alert and responsive. But then started kind of, like, looking up, like, and then, like, doing interesting, like, head motions, just, like, kind of, like, rocking her head up and down a lot, eyes looking up to the ceiling. And then she started just kind of saying random things like, I have eyes, I can see. And I'm just like, oh, at this point I'm like, okay,
did that detour didn't happen in the trial?
No, like, there was some weird conversation or lack thereof, but it wasn't a full, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what's happening? Yeah. I don't know what's happening. And so that started, and then it's kind of like, yeah, yes, you do. Do you mind closing them for me? And, like, you know, like, doing whatever you need to do.
Mind closing them for me?
Well, because, you know, just trying to detour, because, like, I would be doing the eyeshadow, and then all of a sudden would just start, like, happening.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't want to poke you in the eye. Like, oh my gosh, like, we gotta, like, you know, we did mascara, we did false lashes, we did, like, all these things in the trial. Like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do all of this? And then starts uncontrollably crying. Not, like, making noise. It was just kind of like the tears were rolling, and then just
falling. Like the sniffling.
Yeah. And just like, hey, anybody from your bridal party here with you today? And then she just starts listing, like, family members.
Okay.
Like, okay, maybe those are just, no, those weren't her bridal party.
Okay.
Her bridal party kind of showed up.
Okay.
And they didn't really provide any further answers. They just kept coming over and being like, hey, how are we doing? And then mom shows up and it's just like, hey, how about we drink something? And I'm just like, what?
It's like, somebody in this room knows something that I don't know, but somebody needs to tell me really quickly.
And I was like, it was to the point that I was like, don't leave me alone with her. Like, stop leaving me alone with her. I don't know what's happening. Not that I think I'm in danger, but I don't know what's
happening.
And I don't think that this is going to be successful. Like, that, oh my gosh, I do not know how that makeup turned out. I did it, but, like, tears and like, I don't know. Like, there was nothing under her eyes. but then like mom did a few, and then there was some scheduling issues as well that weren't communicated with the people who had like booked everything and like set it all up. So I only had her on my book, and they were like, no, there's supposed to be like 6 of us. We're like, I can't do that. I have other gigs I need to leave for.
Right.
So I was able to be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I went over and I knew where I could like get a hold of another artist, and I'm like, okay, what, like, can you come help this like situation out? Like, take 3 people. Yes. Great. Okay. I'll do you too. And then we'll go. But nobody really clarified anything much more other than like, there's been some troubles. Like, we had a bad night last night. Like, but I don't know. I've never been so uncomfortable. It was just like, I don't think you are understanding like where you are, what's happening. Like,
that's so scary.
What I'm doing.
Yeah.
And nobody here is like coming in and saying, hey, let me just pull you aside privately and let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that we can do to help you out or something?
Yeah.
But instead it was just kind of like, and then when I showed her the mirror and was like, how do we feel? She just cried.
Oh.
But I was like, okay.
Like, what does this mean? Like, is that a yes? Is that a no? What are we doing here?
Yeah. And the only other thing that would come to mind is like, do you not like want this to be happening today? Like, are you not interested in what you're doing? And so then I could also see that like resulting in some tears. And maybe I have no idea. I have no idea. It could be column A, column B. It could be a mystery column C. I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah. So that was that story. Absolutely uncomfortable.
Yeah. That sounds super uncomfy.
I'll like stagger into this. So then, unsure if client left the premises.
I cannot wait. I was speculating about what this could possibly entail. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to wait.
No, and I guarantee it's nothing that came to your head.
Probably not.
So I had worked a Halloween party. I worked decent amount of like Halloween events and parties and things.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
And was like set up like a face painting booth and just like, yeah. And like, this was a little earlier on. So, you know, it was like really generous with pricing and flexible with what I was willing to do and all of that.
Right.
And so it was just kind of like if you're attending the party, costumes were mandatory. You can show up. And then like, if you needed makeup, I'm here to do makeup.
Yeah.
So, it was a pretty sweet little deal. I meet a client who I didn't know was going to become a client, and she is a lot of fun. But this was like my first like interaction with her, and so it's like so like now funny in hindsight. So she's just like, "Hey, I'm having a Halloween party tomorrow." I was like, "Girl, like, it's a Saturday night. Who's a Halloween party on a Sunday, like in October? Like I know people have things going on Monday.
Yeah, right. It's like that's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, you want to do my makeup for it? And I was like, yeah, what do I have going on like tomorrow? Like I was booked all day today. I have nothing going on tomorrow.
Right,
so
it's a Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. So I'm like, for sure. She goes, I want to do the exact same thing that we did tonight. So it was kind of a combination. Like think of it like simply put like a skull. Kind of like a painted, like a face paint, like skull.
Okay.
But, you know, she had like tweaked and like done various things. So it was very uniquely like her, like fit her costume that she had, like all of that.
Yeah.
So I get the address. It's a clubhouse for an apartment complex. So I show up and there's the client and she's like running around by herself, like doing everything, like putting everything together.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's just like this guy there. And luckily, this is one that I bought Christian for. Because I was like, hey, I need you to.
Thank goodness for him.
Seriously, shout out to you, babe. Love you lots.
Yeah, right.
So at the apartment complex, and there's this guy there. And he's like up on a ladder, like hanging up like chicken wire from the ceiling and like some shapes. And I was like, I'm. Who am I to question? It's a Halloween party.
It's a Halloween party. Anything goes.
And so, like, she's kind of giving us a little mini tour and rundown. Here's everything that we're going to do. I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, going to be a fun party, dude.
Yeah.
So, get her all made up. And then she goes, I need to go grab your money. And I was like, okay, because, you know, you learn as you go. Turns out, when she said, I need to go get your money, she drove away in a giant white van.
Oh.
And so Christian's
that's not how I thought the story would go.
He's like, did she leave? And I'm just like, did she?
Was Christian in the car?
No, he was in there with me because he
okay.
had met her, and so like she was comfortable. But at this point, there's this man still just in this apartment complex clubhouse, and we're just like, sup? How do you know her? He's just like, I don't. I'm like maintenance for the apartment complex. I come with the rental. So she had this like random maintenance guy just like hanging up some of her
something for
decorations.
Halloween.
Yeah, because like she couldn't like reach it like where it needed to go. She's like, please help me out. And he was like, okay, I come with the rental. And then after like, I don't know, I want to say like 15, 20 minutes, I was like, do we leave? Like she left. She comes like skirting back in the parking lot and just like, sorry, there's a line at the ATM.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, did you go to the bank?
Yeah. No, well, in like full makeup at this point.
Oh my gosh. So when she said she was going to get your money, like she was physically going to get
yes.
your money.
Yes. Well, and it was one of those moments where I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I just learned a lesson the hard way. Like I just didn't get paid for this, but you know, goes to show like there are some like there are good people out there and that are honest with their words.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
like she was great, but it was just really funny in that moment where Christian's like looking at me like, no, what have we learned from this? Like we accept deposits, we get paid up front, like, you know.
Right. It's like because you were fully probably expecting not to get paid at that point in time.
Seriously, I was just like, how long until we leave? Like, how long do we sit here with the awkward maintenance guy?
Okay, well, number one, I think it's super weird that she didn't tell you that she was leaving to physically go get you money. Like she wasn't just like, oh yeah, my wallet's like, you know, in a different room.
Yeah, or in the car or whatever.
Yeah. And then second of all, she left you in her apartment.
Well, the clubhouse.
Oh,
so
the clubhouse.
It was like,
oh, okay.
Full. Well, and then I guess the cherry on top is I was like, so how long have you lived here? She goes, I don't.
What?
So I was like, how did you, like, do they just like open the rentals for anybody? And she's like, well, no, I used to like forever ago, but like they still know me, so they let me rent it. So she didn't even live there. So then the next story that I jotted down was the trailer.
Okay.
This one's kind of foul. So I'm working on a set and we get the address because, you know, call sheets, you find out, you know, like what times, you know, location, who's all going to be on the crew. Like you find out all this stuff. Get the call sheet and I'm like, oh, this is an interesting address. Like, where's this? Get there. It's a trailer park. I'm like, you know, I've shot all over the place for these, you know, indie projects. You'll get whatever you can get. So we were at this trailer park because somebody knew somebody who said, yo, you can use my trailer. Like, you know, it's skeleton crew. Like, we don't have the full everybody out there.
Yeah.
But I'm standing there and I got a kid, I got a light, I got all this stuff. Nobody notified the actual owners of the trailer that we were going to be there.
Oh.
So then, like, dogs barking, running crazy inside. You can just, like, hear it. Like, the trailer's kind of rocking. And then, like, just like, who are you? What are you doing here? And then, like, I was just like, well, this is not, like, director, you're taking this one. Like, I'm stepping all the way back. Like, I don't know anything about anything. Like, I just showed up.
You handle this.
Yeah, like, I answered the call sheet.
Right.
So, we're there. And then just like, who? He said, what? All right, fine. And then, like, people just start kind of like funneling out of there. Like, wait, like, I don't know. It was like 6 people. So how are you all in here with like these like big dogs? So it's like, okay, well, whatever. Okay, we're going to get in. We're going to get in. Look. And then there is not a single clear area in the trailer, like at all. That's not coated in something, various things. So when it gets over to like, where can we set up for makeup?
Like, where do you set up?
You know, you think typically kitchen table, especially in a trailer where you're like, there's not going to be a whole lot of anything. We're going to have people in here. We're going to not want to like take up like chairs, seating areas, benches. So yeah, let's try table. There were bugs everywhere.
Oh my God.
Luckily, somebody else on the crew was just like, yeah, you're not doing this here. You are not doing this here. Walked us right out and was like, no, I'm not letting you open this kit in this location. Good. So I was just like, yeah, no, like we can't do this. Like literally, I can't do my job. You can try to shoot whatever, but if you need anybody in makeup, shoots off. Like, switch locations. We can't do this. Like this is a severe health issue, violation.
Yeah, for sure.
Concern, everything.
Yeah.
And we had to reroute locations because just walking in there and I can like still see like looking down and like trying to see if I could like move something and then just it was like coated, which was absolutely just foul. I know. Sorry. I have some weird stories.
No, it's all good. I am enjoying hearing them. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. That must have been so disgusting.
Yeah, no, it was like a little like,
no, I will not even set up in bathrooms because of the fact that they're unhygienic. And for some reason, whenever you go to somebody's house. I don't know if you've had this instance before for like maybe random special occasions or something. They just always want to put you in the bathrooms. I'm like, that is so disgusting. Because then also, I don't want to be taking up a bathroom and also be kicked out because somebody has to use the bathroom.
Oh my God. Yeah. Luckily, that's not happened to me.
I got set up one time at a hotel and I was put in the bathroom of the hotel, but I didn't know at the time. So usually when bridal parties get ready in hotels, they usually have suites.
Yes.
That's like a sitting area in the middle. And then it sometimes has a bathroom, but then there's usually the 2 connecting rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can just walk right through.
Which is so much nicer.
It is so much nicer. Well, I swear that between all 3 of those rooms, there was at least like 25 people that were like in those sections, which is a lot of people in like a hotel, right?
Yeah.
I was let in the hotel room when I first got there.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, can I just like set up on this desk? Because usually there's like a desk by the window or something.
Yeah, like typically nobody but like the makeup artist uses that.
That's what I'm saying. And that's usually my designated spot in hotel rooms, right?
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
Yeah. So I guess I just wasn't good at standing up for myself at that point in time. And I mean, you kind of just grow balls like in the industry, to be totally honest, and quickly. And if you don't, you're not going to survive because you really have to stand up for yourself sometimes.
Yeah, you're going to get screwed over.
Yeah. Well, this is when I was like really timid and super shy.
Yeah.
Didn't really set boundaries at this point in time. And this is all a life lesson, I feel like, with any of our stories.
Seriously.
It is. Yeah. So I walked in this hotel room and I was like, hey, can I just like set up by this window? Because it was empty completely.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's like where all of our bouquets and everything are going to sit. And I think we might put food there or something. So I don't know, like maybe you should set up in the bathroom. And then I told them straight up, I was like, I'd prefer not to set up in there just purely because of like hygienic reasons, you know? They're like, oh no, it'll be fine. Like we're okay with it or whatever. I was like, I don't care if you're okay with it, but I'm not okay with it. You know?
No.
But at that point in time, it's like I was fresh. I was new. Like I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. It's fine. I'll just go set up in this bathroom. So I set myself up in the bathroom. I, no joke, got kicked out of that bathroom 5 times for somebody to use the bathroom.
Oh.
It took me forever to finish.
Oh, I bet. Because then you have to go in there and just like alcohol sanitizer. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then what's even more gross is like one of them, I swear, took a dump.
Like literally, like, can you go to any other bathroom in the building?
No,
like
I know.
any other bathroom.
And I really tried to get myself out of there. And like, I just really should have stood my ground. Hannah wrote down a project of hers that she worked on.
Yes.
And I'm really excited for her to tell us all about it.
Have I told you anything about this?
So I actually briefly looked it up.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I
Okay.
kind of know like what it's about because it was on the one movie site or whatever it's called. What is it called? Like
It's-
IMDb or something?
Oh yeah, like IMDb. Yeah.
DB.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
This is so like bonus, but I have something like really funny that like okay, I'll just tell you. So
Wait, is this about the leech or is this about something else?
it's about IMDb,
Oh, okay.
but like with makeup and stuff. So
Okay, yeah.
randomly, the salon that I used to work at, they got a call and they said like, hey, we're a local film crew and we're looking for makeup artists to come work on a new project.
Yeah.
Do you have any artists? First of all, I don't want to say red flag, pink flag. That's weird. Why are you outsourcing from makeup or for makeup artists through a local salon? Like that's a weird choice.
yeah.
That's a very weird choice. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I've done work in like various film sets. So like, yeah, like if you want to, like, here's my number. You can give them my number, whatever.
Yeah.
I have a voicemail. I've saved it. I'm never getting rid of it. This producer, they're just like, hey, so like, you know, here's the project. We're not going to pay anybody. It's a religious based project. We're expecting everybody to donate their time for the good cause. And for compensation, we can get you initiated into the Internet Movie Database. I'm howling. I'm just like, I already have an IMDb. I've had an IMDb since 2015.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, and not like I have it. Like it was made for me. Like you can't make your own IMDb. Like whoever has the proper accreditation has to go in and make your profile, like saying, like, yes, you have legitimately worked on a project. You can pay subscriptions if you want to like add pictures and bios. But I already had an IMDb.
Yeah.
So it was just really funny getting to call her back and being like, hey, Miss Producer. Yeah, I'd love to hear so much more about this. Like, I'm already on IMDb. And then immediately, oh, you are? What's your first and last name? And then you could tell she was like typing things up. She like wrapped up the phone call and immediately like ended it after she looked up my IMDb.
That's so funny.
Isn't
Oh my
it?
goodness.
Isn't it? So when you're just like what's the internet thing? Like, or the movie thing? It's like, oh yeah, the Internet Movie Database. It's very exclusive. You have to be initiated. Like, work on my project for free so I can get you in it.
That almost seems like some sort of cult or something.
Oh, looked into it. Genuinely, some of the funniest stuff. There's a Christmas movie. One of those, like, you know, really laughably, hilariously bad Christmas movies.
Yes.
Done by the same team, the same production team. Filmed in Fort Wayne. And you can tell if you know, because there is a local restaurant joint that is like exclusive to this area.
Okay.
That's in the movie. And so you're just like, oh my God, no way. And one of my favorite YouTubers back at the time when that movie had come out did like a review being like, I watched this terrible Christmas movie. So like, what are the odds that I have a voicemail from the producer of that movie still on my phone trying to rope me into doing work for free?
So crazy.
Isn't it?
Oh
Isn't it?
That's
so then the other
funny.
like artists who were at the salon, they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to all work on a movie. I was like, no, you're not. No,
It's like, we're not doing this.
no, we're not.
Nope.
I'm like, I'm
Shut
putting
this
my
down
foot
right
down
now.
for you. Like, do not do this. Do not do this. You will continuously get called. And you are going to have unfulfilled promises. Like, you take payment. You take payment for these things. You do not do this for free. You don't get it to, you don't do it to get on IMDb. It's cool to be like, yeah, like I have an IMDb, but like, it doesn't get you really anywhere,
right,
at least in my experience as of yet. So a film that I actually did work on.
Yes.
A little transition there. It's called The Leech.
Okay.
Directed by Eric Pennycoff. He's fantastic. It was an amazing time working with him,
Oh, fantastic.
working with his team. So I got reached out to in December of 2020 through my website from one of the producers being like, hey, you know, we're looking very last minute for a makeup artist to work on a production. And I'm very skeptical because a lot of times when you get those, they're kind of like fishing. They're not always legitimate. So when I actually was able to speak with her, it's like, oh no, like this is legitimate. Like, this is cool. Like, yes, like I'm in, but then immediately nervous because I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like the biggest like production that I've ever worked on.
Right.
And so it was interesting shooting in January, February of 2021. We're masked up, socially distanced, and max of 10 people on set at any time.
Oh.
So we were a 10-person crew, including actors.
Oh. So it wasn't even like the 6-foot distance sort of thing. Like you could not have more than 10 people gathering at
More
one
than
time.
10 people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I really appreciate the way that like the team ended up like being really strict with that because
good.
we had people coming in from New York City, from Austin, Texas, from Tampa, Florida, like all over the place. Like people were like coming in like to fill these spots. Their original artist apparently just had a conflict and couldn't do it, or I don't recall exactly,
okay.
but like that's why it was a little bit more last minute that I was getting contacted at the end. Like it was, I think, in between Christmas and New Year's. Filming started the last 2 weeks of January.
Oh, so it was really tight then.
It was tight. It was
You're
a tight
probably like
turnaround.
scrambling.
Yeah, a bit.
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
luckily it wasn't the most stressful time to like get it all sorted out because being in the slower season, given the fact that it's winter and holiday times, I was free enough and like could make that work with my schedule because
Yeah.
it was going to be 3 consecutive weeks of shooting. Like
Every single day.
Saturday, Sundays off, but like sometimes we would like just take a Saturday and just do it anyways.
Okay.
And it was roughly, I don't know, 8 to 12 hours for shoots.
Yeah.
So, like, luckily I was available and could do like the commitment. It was the director, the producer, and myself
Okay.
who lived here. Everybody else was from out of town, I believe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They had just Googled Fort Wayne special effects artist and my website came up. And
Wow, that's
how they-
incredible.
right.
That's
like,
cool.
Right place, right time. Like,
Yeah.
it was perfect. And so this was a very like gore heavy, like photorealistic practical effects. And it was just the learning curve of like the decade for me. Like, holy cow. I was a 1-woman operation. It's a horror comedy that takes place around Christmas time. It's a religious thriller and aspects. You know, not for the faint of heart, not for the faint of stomach. It covers some really twisted concepts, but like that's really my genre. Like I live for those types of movies. So getting to like
I bet you had
work on
so much fun working on this.
so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah.
And like learning something new every single day. I have a vomit recipe. Like straight up, I have a vomit recipe written down.
Fantastic.
Not that I even need to write it down. I have it up here because I needed to create something that fit the specifications of what the director of photography was asking for. He's like, this is what I want to see in the shot. Not to be gross. He's like, I want to see bubbles because that will make it more realistic. So I tried to come up with something that wasn't going to taste just disgusting for the poor actor who would have to like drink it
Drink
down.
it and
well,
then
not like keep it and
Yeah.
then, you know, go through the act and not actually have him feel sick.
Yeah, right.
So I believe it was milk, orange juice, saltines, and soda water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You can imagine why I chose all of that. And so I was like, it kind of tastes like breakfast. Like, I'm so sorry. I knew it wasn't still pleasant, but he was like, I've tasted worse. So like, I was
Okay, good.
just, you know, pleased that it wasn't the most awful thing for him. I was complete out of my element, just like newbie. Nobody knew what they were doing. Like we had, you know, people doing like wearing multiple hats.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just trying to make sure with 10 people that, you know, I think it was 4 actors and 6 crew members and a couple of the actors or one of the actors like swung and did both when they weren't actively on screen.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Like I had to figure out how to create a nosebleed on camera. Like it needed to happen on camera.
Oh.
So like that was a crazy just like process. How do we do this? How do we make this safe? It's one of my favorite shots in the film. I needed to have my actress like lean her head back, but I needed to like put cotton in her nose so that like it didn't run into like her sinus cavities. I needed to figure out how to block the fake blood from
I never
like,
thought
going
about that.
all the way
Yeah.
back because they know it's all connected and it can be a giant mess.
Right.
And also just hazardous, like don't want that. So and then had to create like this specific concoction to get the right consistency of my fake bloods.
Did you do like the cornstarch method or?
No, I actually
something
use
else?
like I really like Ben Nye bloods.
Okay.
Heavily it was mainly Ben Nye stage blood.
Okay.
The zesty mint flavor because it is mouth safe, and so I knew that if it was mouth safe, and then just like kind of like sheared it down with some water and threw in like a little other, just so I could have the consistency that I needed.
Okay.
All while shooting in a house that didn't have heat, and it was roughly on average like 8 degrees that winter. Like it was like I'm in like my head to toe parka with a mask on, like gross snotsicles, like it was the full thing, but like sitting there trembling. There's one
my
space heater that people are
gosh.
kind of rotating in front of, and just like trying to like rough it out in the best way that we could to make this happen. So then I was able to have her tilt back, have the concoction made, have the nose protected, and then have her like keep her hand in a specific position so that when she dropped, she like caught it. And then I was really excited about it when I saw it. I was like, I think that worked. I think it gave like a good, like realistic looking kind of drop to it. And then the director after, like at the end of that day, he was like, come look at this, and like showed me the shot on the camera. And I was like, yes, we did it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing that you were able to problem solve that and figure it out though.
Thanks. I mean,
Because I would not even know where to begin with that.
yeah, no, sometimes you get, hey, I need this. Can you do it? And you're just like, can I? Give me 5.
Let me brainstorm for a minute.
Let me think about
Yeah.
this. Because one of the things that I was able to test beforehand, because I knew that this was expected, he wanted realistic bloody knuckles.
Oh, okay.
And so those were some of my favorites. I still love to like demo this. Like it's such a fun effect.
Okay.
And so figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
Realistic black eyes, applying prosthetics of different varying degrees of like kind of swollen face. I needed to figure out how to make a character look believably homeless. So I ended up picking up this product called Dirt Spray in dark brune.
I've heard of that actually.
I believe those are all Skin Illustrators.
Okay.
And then there's like
Yeah.
charcoal and soot and dirt. Yeah, all of these things.
All of your dirt preferences.
Literally, yeah. Any varying degree of dirt, they've got it.
Right. Yeah.
But like needed to figure out where I wanted to apply it, how I wanted to apply it. So like tons of studying, tons of research,
Yeah.
and figured out like going in and around the cuticles of his fingernails, going under his fingernails, doing the bottoms of his feet,
The details.
all of those details.
Yeah.
Then like it was really fun getting to like develop a character's appearance. Working with, writer and director.
Yeah.
So, and like, cause Eric wrote and directed. So luckily, and like, it was just the two of us on Zoom calls collaborating,
Yeah.
Pre-production, but just trying to figure out like, okay, so a character goes through a transformation in this. How do they start? How do they finish? How do we want to really like make this transition like very obvious, very visible, and
Yeah.
like part of the storytelling, because that's what we are as makeup artists. Like we're visual storytellers.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like, okay, this is really exciting. So I'm going and I'm getting like like her character at the beginning, she's just like high side pony wearing like some faux fur and just like, yeah, like, hi, I'm here. And so like kind of like that vibe, but like she might kind of be from the South. And so like a little mysterious. You don't really know her vibe.
Right.
So I'm like, this girl, she needs like the equivalent of like a Lancome, like Juicy Tube. Like she just needs something that she's like just slathering all over her lips. Like, oh, we need gold glitter. Yeah. We need gold, like to go with everything. Like let's figure out how to really make it look like she did the makeup, not a professional.
For sure.
Like how if she's getting ready in the morning and going out, you're not getting bridal, you're not getting professional photography level makeup. Like how would they have done this themselves?
Yeah, I know.
So
that's what I've noticed in a lot of movies too that I've watched and everything ever since I started doing makeup. At first, I kind of think about it. I'm like, wow, like the makeup artist they had like did a really like messy job. But I'm like, you know, they probably did that on purpose.
Exactly.
Because sometimes there are people in like high school, for instance. I'm like, none of us know how to do shit in high school, you know?
Yeah, we would not be walking around looking like Euphoria. Like all of those
That's
kids.
what I'm saying. It's like, that's not realistic.
That's not how high schoolers look. High schoolers have them like, you know, the trendy, like DIY, like you look a little ridiculous, but you're finding yourself.
Right. So it's a very interesting point that you brought up with that.
And there's a point where a character has to wrap up like some bandages. How would he do this? If I need to apply a prosthetic because there was a fight that broke out, let's say like somebody got punched, are they left-handed or right-handed?
That's what I was just going to say. I'm like, you have to make sure you use the right hand.
Like continuity is probably one of the tougher parts, especially doing it as like a one-woman like department. And taking photos from like every perspective and like trying to just get every detail because then you have to reference that and recreate it identically because you're never shooting in order. Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes into it. And I guess like a story that kind of ties in with like color theory. I had done like this giant like gory like black eye and like with cuts and blood and like he's just he's mangled. And then all of a sudden like somebody comes in and it's just like, hey, change plans, shooting in red light.
Oh,
hold up. I'm like, okay, I already know what's about to happen right now, but actor, please go step in front of the camera. I want to see the monitor. And then I look at the monitor. I'm like, you look normal. You look completely normal, and that's terrible because you shouldn't be looking normal right now.
You're supposed to not look normal. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, going back and then mixing in like deep greens and deep blues.
To contrast with it.
Everything. Yeah. Then it read on camera. The final shot of the movie, we had one take. Like we had one take to get it because it needed to just be like the most perfectly timed shot. It was a combination of a slow like zoom out with the sun rising and different cues going on inside of the house with different lights and different like open the door and go and now you're doing this. So it was almost like a choreographed production at this point. But all in like, you know, bare with like I think you only see one person. So in this scene, it's, you know, right after the climax of the film. And without spoiling anything, our actress, I needed to be there with her. Like we're on like, you know, multi-way phone calls being like, go now, do it, run. Like all of these things. And it's like so frigid out. And we had shot from 6P to 6A.
Oh, wow.
And I, in the process, had been like doctoring up a costume with like, you know, I needed to get it ready. So then like add and like layer on things. So then I'm like, needing to do all of that. So it was just an eventful filled evening ending with this. And I'm standing there with her and I have to, you know, put product on her that makes her just like unbearably cold. And you know, it's like 6 a.m. in the middle of like February or January, whatever it was.
It's already cold.
It's already cold. And no, actually we shot this at the end of like this, I think was like the last scene of the first week. So this was like the end of week 1 we're doing this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like how everything's backwards. It's so funny.
It really
like you don't
is.
film things in chronological order.
We filmed a few angles of the climax scene on one of our test days. We weren't even planning to shoot, but the makeup ended up going well. And he was like, let's get this.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's see. Because we had because not everybody had like gotten into town at that point yet. So we were trying to work with like everyone's schedules and who would double what, but we're like, we have who we need. Let's do it. Yeah. So that was the first, like we shot the like climax first.
Yes.
and then shot the closing scene at the end of the first week. And yeah, like trickled kind of backwards almost through it. But like there was nothing more beautiful than when like we're all just sitting there like literally holding our breath and shivering and like dead silent, because that was part of the entire thing. It needed like still
complete silence.
And so then after just like cut, we got it. Just everybody like,
I bet it was like, woo, celebration
like
time.
full on and like just cheering and like, oh my God. And honestly, now every time I see it, it's just like, I like know exactly in the house where I was, even though I'm like hiding in between windows so you can't see me on camera.
Right.
Fun fact, I am in the movie twice.
Oh, okay.
Christian and I are extras in the opening scene.
Ooh, fun.
So you like we're a little couple and we're in the church scene, and then I am a body double at some point. So you don't know that it's me, but yeah, like full on body double.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So those are some of my like high points of working on the leech. But
that's really cool though.
Thank you.
That's really
it was
cool.
so fun. Like I reminisce and think about it fondly, and I look forward to the next opportunity that kind of feels like that.
No, I mean, that's incredible. And I mean, honestly, this is the reason why I was so excited to have you on the podcast too.
Yeah.
Because you are involved in a totally different world than I have ever been involved in. The closest that I ever got, I have been a part of a film and TV set before.
You haven't told me this.
Yeah. So there's a film crew from New York that came over here. And you know how you said that it was so random that TV production contacted you through your salon?
Yeah.
Okay, this TV and film crew connected with me through my Ulta that I worked at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I wasn't actually currently working at the Ulta, but I worked at the Mac Boutique inside of that Ulta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had coworkers that still worked there when I left. I think it was 2019, I want to say, when this happened. I know it was not too long after I left because I left in 2018. This film crew, though, either contacted the Ulta ahead of time or maybe asked them, I think, like if there was anybody who was, a makeup artist that could work like outside of the company. This is also why I left too, is that any of the actual like Ulta employees or anybody who worked underneath them could not freelance outside of the company because it was seen as a conflict of interest. And so that's why I never was able to freelance when I worked there. And one of my old coworkers was like, hey, so Julie actually is one of our artists that just left and she freelances now. And so originally what they contacted me for was to go to the Journal-Gazette to film.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. It was a crime, like a true crime show. And this genetic genealogist from California went to different areas and she started talking about all the cases that she solved just purely using DNA.
Oh, that's fun. Didn't we just have that? Well, not just. It's my 2018 or 19 wasn't that long ago curse. But within the past like 5 years, didn't we have a case that got solved from like the 70s or 80s, literally locally in Fort Wayne? Because the I guess what is the word I'm looking for? The guy who did it.
The perpetrator.
The perpetrator.
Yeah.
The perp. The perp. The guy who did it, like his brother sent in something to 23andMe. Yeah. And then they traced it back to the guy who did it based on...
It was the April Tinsley case.
April Tinsley.
No, that's the one
Thank you.
No, that was the show I worked on.
Stop.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm not so excited because it's such a sad case, but like that's so exciting. Okay, sorry. Okay, back to genetic genealogist.
Yeah, her name's Cece Moore. She's the one who was the genetic genealogist for the case.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's the case. That's the show that I worked on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so whose makeup did you do?
Hers. So I was following her around like for a week of filming. So yeah.
That is so much fun. Oh my gosh.
I don't think I've ever actually shared that anywhere actually. But
why?
Yeah, I don't know. It just is like I don't know. I just mostly do wet things. I don't know.
No, but that is so fun. That is so fun.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So originally though, they had contacted me to do makeup for a reporter at the Journal-Gazette.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she was like, I forget like what her actual job title is, but what ended up happening, and this was like a weird situation. And so I don't know what ended up happening here. And I don't ever think I got a clear answer, but this woman that they were interviewing, super nice. But she had a black eye. And I don't know what ended up happening.
Oh no.
She said that she was bird watching and her binoculars like hit her in the face. Like when I don't.
That feels too specific
was so
to be
weird.
a lie.
So I
no
don't know.
shame on bird watching. I
know.
love birds.
It's like I don't know if you were like up into a window maybe and just went,
Yeah,
and
like,
just slammed right into it, you know?
and it hit just perfectly
Yeah,
enough to like
cause
bruise really bad.
your orbital bone or something, you know? Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what.
no.
It was a gnarly black eye. I have pictures. And I can show you the cover up because I had to cover up the black eye.
And
that was the very
challenge.
That was the very first cover up I ever did.
Nothing like learning quickly on the job.
Bruises are difficult because there's so many different colors.
Yeah.
And then depending on what phase that the bruise is in, you have to go in with like different yeah, so hers was like it wasn't fresh, but it got to the point where some of it was like more intense than other ones and it was kind of starting to fade out into that purplish yellowish kind of tone, but it was like a combination of, and I'm like, oh gosh, like so then you had to use like, you know, yellow to color correct the purple and then like the little bit of peachiness to color correct the yellow. Like it was just a whole
Yikes.
it was a whole thing. And so I was at it for like a little bit and I was like, how long do I have to do this makeup? Because then I had to do the makeup on the rest of her face too.
Yeah,
Like I wasn't just covering up the bruise, you know?
Yeah, like that's just phase one.
Yeah. And then unfortunately though, it was also like puffy at the same time. Like she still had puffiness that was left over from it. I don't know what to call it. Like there's very like harsh, like angular lighting. It was kind of that documentary style.
Yeah, very like it's shot from the side. And
Yes,
it's
it
just
is like the side profile thing where you
Yeah.
have like a really harsh like spotlight or
So you're,
something
like,
that's like
very
casting
mysterious.
shadows. They wanted it angled from the side, but it would have cast shadows like on the side. I kept looking in the monitor and they were like, is there anything that you can do about this? I was like, to be completely honest, like I really can't unless you move your light. That's the only situation. Like we just can't do anything about texture. And they're
Nothing.
like, yeah. And so they angled it a little bit and they're like, oh, that's a lot better. So I love when you can like collaborate with the directors and everything. They were all super nice. I mean,
Good.
they bought me coffee like every day and I was like, okay, I was like, this is really cool. You know?
Perfect,
But there was,
yeah.
oh my God, but I would never be able to do it though because those 12-hour days were killing me. Like I had to go for a while too. Like I did the same thing. I wasn't for 3 weeks. It was a week, but I was like, oh my God. So they, for some reason, shot this separately. Like I think they were here for a couple of weeks or something because the first week I just did makeup on this one lady and I never did makeup on her again.
Yeah.
And then the second week, they called me back in, which I was not expecting to do.
Right.
They called me back in to do makeup on Cece Moore.
That's so
And I was
fun.
like, oh, I was like, this is kind of cool. So every single day I had to go downtown and meet her at the hotel, like one of the hotels downtown.
Yeah.
And just did her makeup every morning. And then I followed them around town in their cars and I'm like, okay, cool. But I really got to like hear her story and everything too, which was
so
really
cool.
cool about how she got into it and the whole entire thing. Cause I was obviously doing her makeup and
Yeah.
I did it in her hotel room. So like there wasn't a bunch of film crew around or anything. It was actually like more so just like getting somebody ready for like a special event in the morning, which was kind of
Yeah.
nice. It was really chill.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting rushed by anybody. They gave me like a while to like get her makeup done. They gave me like an hour like every day.
So nice.
Yeah, car's gonna come pick you guys up at like this time or something, and it was pretty set like every morning, but our end time like varied depending on like what filming locations they were going to, and sometimes, and of course they give you call sheets for every single day, and so depending on where you were depended on how long your day was going to be and how many times it took to get the shot that you needed and everything too.
Because yeah, the takes can be brutal. Like there's nothing worse than you're standing there and you're just watching someone like consistently stumble like a line.
Yes.
Especially if it's like a monologue or something and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna be here
Yeah.
for a while. Like we're gonna be here for such a long while. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and just fun fact about this too, they actually filmed right outside my house for one of the filming shoots too. Because they needed to film B-roll in a neighborhood with like a girl riding a bike. They needed a neighborhood to film in, and they were like, hey, what does your neighborhood look like? Because they figured out they lived in like suburbia.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, like it looks like this. And so they brought up an aerial view in Google Maps, obviously,
yeah.
of like my house. And they're like, oh, that's absolutely perfect. Like we have sidewalks. Like they just needed something to film in.
So fun.
Yeah. So I brought a whole entire ass film crew in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would have been such a fun day though.
Oh my God, I felt so awkward. I warned all my neighbors because it was like that day that we figured that out. And so I was like, okay, let me just drive home really quickly. I'll meet you guys there because I had to send them all the address. And they came in like a bunch of vehicles. Like this was 2019, so it was like before 2020 hit. So it was like a full ass crew, like, and they got like, you know, their boom mics, and like the whole entire situation was like getting set up, and it was so funny.
And that's hilarious that they needed like audio for B-roll.
I don't know, because they had like mics just in case of like something. I don't know what they were. I don't know. It was like just in case. Like the guy just like followed people around. You know, there's just the boom guy. You know, always just like follows you around.
Oh, and I love when
doesn't matter
accidentally catch boom in like shots in movies and TV shows, and you're like, well, that boom guy screwed up. Oh, that have you held one? They're heavy.
No,
they're weirdly heavy.
Oh, no. Actually, I think he did let me hold it.
It's shocking because you think it's gonna be lightweight, and she's like, why does it keep getting in the shot? It's like, well,
it's heavy.
It's heavy. Yeah, it's like, and your arms are over your head.
I know.
And just somebody calls like boom. And then they're like, oh, it's like boom is a whole process.
Boom, guys. Yeah, no. I went home and I warned like all my neighbors. I'm like, hey, just to let you guys know, this is gonna seem really random. And this is like, I think we moved into our house in 2017, and I had like met some of my neighbors at that point in time. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna have this film crew coming over. I was like, I'm a makeup artist, in case anybody like didn't know. I'm not like a famous actor or anything.
Right. Like we're just doing a project.
I was gonna say, and this is not gonna happen. This is not gonna be a regular occurrence. Don't worry about it.
Was everybody like cool? Were they excited? Were they annoyed? Like, what was the vibe?
Mostly everybody was really excited about it, and like, oh my gosh, it's so cool, because like I had like almost the whole entire neighborhood like around my house, at least obviously like standing outside and like watching it. But one of my neighbors had a fit. Oh my gosh. And she like still hates me to this day. It's the one who lives right next door to me.
What?
Like she refuses to talk to me. Oh, because they had her move one of her vehicles because it was blocking the sidewalk. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're not even like legally supposed to be blocking the sidewalks anyways.
Yeah.
But they have like 3 vehicles in their driveway, so they always have to like shuffle it around. And they're like, it's probably going to take like maybe an hour. So I was like, can you just move your vehicle like down the street for a minute? Yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, why do I have to do this and blah, blah. And I'm like, lady, calm down. Like,
seriously,
it's literally for an hour. And she wasn't even going anywhere. So she like comes out in her robe and like moves this vehicle down the street. And they're just move it like a few houses down. Like, we just need this section. They were kind of like having this little girl like ride her bike down like a couple houses. So it was like mainly in front of my house, and then dropping her bike on the driveway and like walking away from it.
Oh, okay.
And so yes, it was filmed in my neighborhood in front of my house.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to send me this episode.
You know what's really funny? I have yet to find the episode myself.
Wait, you haven't watched it?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm gonna dig it up. Like, gonna try to dig it up tonight. You just
okay,
send
sounds
me
good.
Send me the details that you remember.
But it was
like.
But it was really fun though. So
well, I'm
that was
so glad.
So
that you
yes,
had that
I was
experience.
I was
so
a
cool.
part of a TV production.
Well, and that's like more than I feel like a lot of people get around here, just because the different types of film. Yeah. And like, we're obviously like, Indiana doesn't have the best like tax incentives for like filming here necessarily. And that's really cool. And that's, I'm like, hey, isn't there somebody that like, there was a case solved?
That's just really funny, because I didn't want to cut you off. I wanted to let you finish, but I'm like, I think we're talking about the same case.
Oh, you can absolutely cut me off.
No, it's all good. I feel so rude whenever I do that. So I'm like, let me have my guest talk.
Oh, no, you can be like, no, like literally that's the case that we were filming like the episode on.
Yeah, it was the April Tinsley case.
Yeah, because it was his brother that like submitted whatever to like the genetics, like 23andMe type things.
Yeah.
And then it was like the specimen in the that then they were able to
it was a
pull
really weird, gross connection, but it's
disgusting.
Like, but thank goodness for DNA though.
And that was what? How many years later? Like 40?
Yeah, because did it happen in the 70s or did it happen in the 80s?
I have no idea. Maybe it happened in the 80s.
Maybe the 80s. I feel like 70s going a little bit far back.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
anyways,
we'll look into that. But that's a really cool experience.
But yes, it was either the DNA detective or the genetic detective, because I know that one of them, they tried to claim as the name, but somebody else had already taken the name.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, so they couldn't name it what they originally wanted to.
Okay.
But it was a whole series. I don't know if it's still on or not.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because what a fascinating like field, and like being able to solve these cases that are considered like, they're closed, they're unsolved. And now it's like, no, we have new advancement in technology that we can get these answers for people.
Yeah, for sure. And they can also get closure too.
Oh my gosh, what a fascinating experience that you had.
It was actually really cool. And I honestly have no idea why I've never talked about it. Like It's literally never come up in my YouTube channel.
I am mind blown. That is such a cool thing to just, it was like a random, just right place, right time, knew the right people. And then there you go.
Yes. All right. That is all the time we have for this episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed. And thank you so much to Hannah for sitting with me through this entire long ass day. But I am so grateful that she dedicated her time to do this. Anyways, I hope you guys have a really great day, and I'll talk to you guys in my next episode. Bye.